Hey, what's up guys? I'm Jacob Kaufman, I'm Under the Street, and this is our second video in Life on Linux Season 2. Last video, I gave you guys a quick introduction about what we're doing, and I showed you how to download Linux Mint. Once again, we are using Debian Edition, Cinnamon, 64-bit. That is the exact version we're using, but you'll be able to follow most of these tutorials on any version of Linux Mint. So if you want to use the Ubuntu flavored version, go ahead. If you want to use Mate, might be a little different on there, but go ahead. Because I know both of those work very well as well. So I just finished backing up all my files. That is the first thing you're going to want to do. Take an external hard drive, back up all your files, because anything you don't back up is going to get deleted. It's not like it might get lost, because sometimes when things say they might get lost, I don't back them up, because it never happens. This, though, it's a 100% chance. When you install Linux on your hard drive, the hard drive will get wiped. So once again, back up all your files unless you seriously know what you're doing with repartitioning. I probably shouldn't have even said that. Just back up your files. So I just backed them up to my 3 terabyte hard drive, and then I unplugged the hard drive to make sure that I do not overwrite any of the files on that. So this is Windows for the last time, and I'm going to do the same thing I did last time. This series is going to run for 2 months because that's until the end of school. I'll probably keep this installation a bit longer than that. But yeah, once again, I will be using nothing but Linux for home computing for the rest of the school year. Once again, my school laptop has Windows on it. I can't change that. Last year, I actually could have changed that. This year, it actually blocks the ability to boot into Linux on the school computers. But we are going to click Restart. There we go. So my audio should be fixed now if it was bad before. I just picked up my wireless mouse, but I actually need to use the keyboard to select my flash drive. I used the program UNetBootIn to write Linux Mint to the flash drive. You can use whatever program you want. Doesn't really make a difference. I'm going to see if I can untilt the camera there. As you can see, well, as you can't see very well, this isn't focusing very good. But we do have a Linux Mint logo in the center of the screen. I promise that was a Linux Mint logo and not anything else. Here we've got a big mouse. In a moment, that will actually turn into a small mouse. At least I hope so, because I really want this to work with my 1440p monitor, because that was the original reason I started using macOS. It's because Linux would not work with a 1440p monitor, but it looks like it is working. So that's great. So as you can see, unable to mount iPod Touch. I don't care. All I want to do is install Linux Mint. So I'm going to come up to this icon in the top left. Now, once again, make sure all your files are backed up, because what we're about to do will wipe out the hard drives that we are using to install Linux Mint on. And that's just how any installation works. Windows does that too when you install it. This is not just a Linux thing. So select your time zone. Chicago, there we go. It's my time zone at least. And keyboard input. Forward. All right. You can select a picture or take a photo. I think I'll select a picture for now. I'll just use the generic picture. And then your full name, your username, Jacob, your password, and finally your host name. I like to call mine i7 workstation. That's just what I call this computer. I have nicknames for my computers. Your host name must be lowercase. Oh, must it? Is that better? Yep. All right. Install Linux Mint. All right. I am going to click manually mount partitions. Right, back. Install Linux Mint on the OCZ Vertex 30 gig SSD. Now, eventually, I'm going to want to write to this hard drive, but I'm just going to stick with the SSD for now. All right, here we go. I'm going to click Edit Partitions. Gparted will open up. Now, Linux Mint actually does not let you do what I normally do. That being, Linux Mint does not let you create one partition on your main hard drive on your SSD, and then another partition on an actual hard drive. Yeah, does not let you do that. So I'm going to go into Gparted, go into Devices, select the 30 gig SSD, and I'm going to clear out that thing and make a new partition. I guess I'll do a swap partition first. Well, no, you're not supposed to do swap on SSDs. All right, I'm just going to make an ext4 partition, and we will label it system. And click add. All right, apply. So once again, that was our 30 gig SSD, not our actual hard drive. The hard drive setup's a bit touchy. Most of you guys won't be bothered by that. Your computer probably only has one hard drive in it. Mine only has multiple in it because I put multiple in it, and that's because I built it myself. Yours is probably only going to have one in it. So now Gparted will go through, scan everything, make sure it did everything correctly. All right, we'll X out of that. We'll click refresh here. Right click. Here we go. So see, Linux Mint does let you have multiple partitions assigned to /, that's your root partition, assigned to /home, that's your home partition. But it does not let you have multiple partitions on multiple hard drives, which kind of ticks me off. So yeah, we are just going to right click that and click assign to /. Okay, forward, install grub. We will install that on SDB. Forward. Alrighty, install. Alright, so now Linux Mint is installing. Once again, I'll have to go back and fix that, put my home partition on the external hard drive. But I've done that in the past. I did that last time I used Linux Mint. So, as you can see, we are currently booted into Cinnamon. I'll take a closer look at it once we're actually booted off the SSD, but it looks pretty nice. Yeah, obviously things are going to be quicker once we boot off the SSD, but looks alright. Might have to get I don't know, the desktop background looks pretty high-res, actually. As you can see, we're going through a thing here, a slideshow. It says Linux Mint is based on and fully compatible with Debian, obviously, because we're using Debian Edition. That's the Debian logo there. You didn't know. So, yeah, of course, it's compatible with Debian. Normally, it won't be. Normally, it'll be Ubuntu, once again. Completely fine if you're using the Ubuntu-based distribution. Very excited to start using Linux again. Although I will admit, Windows is not nearly as bad as it used to be, and I'm actually going to miss it, but that'll make life on Linux even more of an exciting series for me and you guys, because not only will I be finding alternatives for you guys, I'll be finding alternatives for myself as well. Alright, so removing live configuration. Looks like we're done installing. All we're doing now is sort of taking ourselves off of the live boot, I guess. The hard drive light on the top of my computer is blinking like crazy, so we are definitely writing. Right now we're installing the bootloader. Once again, I did that to the SSD because that was already configured as the main hard drive in the system. Alrighty, installation is complete. So now I'll ask you to restart your computer, and of course I will click yes, and now we will restart. Windows is no longer on my computer. Linux Mint is now. And as you can see, I removed the flash drive, which you can do at this point. Set it on my desk there. And now, just starting up the computer normally, should go into the SSD and into Grub. So, as you can see, Grub, welcome to Grub, and here we go. I will press, and well, actually, it'll go automatically. There we go. And if you're lucky, once again, Linux Mint logo looks much nicer than that in person. Large mouse. Hopefully it'll go down to a small mouse. All right, right now we're in Light DM. So this is the login manager. This is what it'll look like before you log in. You can change this if you want to. But I will click Jacob. I will type in my password. Hopefully now we will go to a smaller mouse. I really hope we do. There we go. All right, that was my #1 concern. So as you can see, we're unable to mount iPod Touch. That's just because I have my iPod plugged in because I use it as a microphone. Pay no attention to that. That won't happen for you. So as you can see, this welcome screen pops up. Welcome to Linux Mint. And it'll tell you what release you're using, what edition you're using. So I'm using Linux Mint Debian Edition, Cinnamon 64-bit, like I said. I'm going to keep show this dialog at startup checked. I'm going to click close. So yeah, that is installing Linux Mint. We are all installed at this point. So as you can see, we can open up our task manager. Yeah, this isn't quite as responsive as Mate. I can tell it takes a little bit longer to load, just like a fraction of a second longer to load. But yeah, I think I am going to go ahead and use this as my main distro. So like I said, I'm not actually going to cover moving my home partition to an external hard drive because you guys are probably not doing that. But in case you are, I'll tell you what, when I find the tutorial that I'll use to do that, I will go ahead and put that link in the description in case you do want to put your home partition on an external hard drive as well. But until then, like I said, going to wrap this video up. That is how easy it is to install Linux Mint. I'm going to have to do a couple extra stuff because my computer's a little crazy because I put it together myself. Like I said, it's got multiple hard drives in it. But for your computer, this is it. You're done. You just install Linux Mint. You probably, or you might not know how to use it. You probably do know how to use it, actually. Just start clicking around. But if you need more help, I will be back in a few more episodes I'll make just of basic Linux stuff, and you guys can start asking questions about what you want to do on Linux. So yeah, very excited for Season 2 of Life on Linux. I'm Jacob Kaufman. I'm in the street, and I will see you guys later. See ya.